Welcome! It is time for the Fremennik region. Is it good? I don't know, let's find out. We're going to be starting off with the different shops available to you, and I will say this was one of the stronger points in the last league, specifically for the stonemason shop. Previously, it was the only place in the game you would be able to pick up a stonemason shop, which is all of the higher end construction bits. However, Barlamore did get one. I understand this isn't a Barlamore video, but just keep that in mind that this is not the only stonemason in the game anymore. But, little tangent aside, there are still a healthy number of shops. You can pick up a ruined pickaxe, you've got crafting stuff, you've got the ore shop in the blast furnace area, gem trader as well, though they are uncut, so not quite as good. On the non-dwarfy side, you've got in Relica fishing shop, you've got the helmet shop. Now, while most of those helmets probably won't be that useful, you do pick up the archer's helm, which might be good for you early, as well as the seer's helm for range and mage respectively. Got some raw food stuffs, some cooked food stuffs, and then also on the Lunar Isle, you get yourself a ruin shop, as well as whatever, the lunar robes. You know, if you happen to have cash early and you took Fremennik first, I don't know if that's a good choice, but you could pick that up. Although you do auto-complete the lunar quest, so I guess you could also do the ceremonial robes, which I think are a little bit better. But in either case, maybe you'll use those robes, maybe you won't. Moving on to the skilling options. Of course, you have a bunch of different stalls that you can steal from in Keldegrim. There's the gem stall, there's the crafting stall, you know, there's just a whole bunch of them just kind of lined up in the marketplace. You are going to be picking up the Relica Agility course, tier 80 course. So you are getting pretty close to the best rooftop course by picking up the Fremennik area. Granted, again, I don't know if that's that important because Brimhaven got such a buff. You have such good agility options in the starting areas. I don't know that you have to care so much about this. You're gonna be picking up like an extra Ruinite rock, the basalt mines. I already mentioned this briefly, but there is the blast furnace. You do get the ice gloves just by unlocking Fremennik, so you don't have to pick Asgarnia and kill the Ice Queen or do any of that. That is a really good smithing option for you. You got a lot of shark fishing spots, so if you want a little bit more AFK while you're training your fishing, don't want to quite get your way up to Karambwans in the starting area, that can be good. Also, potentially a source of food for you. You are picking up the Polar Hunter area. By itself, I mean, I guess it's okay XP. I don't think it does better than the stuff you have available in the starting area. So actually, this is more of a shout out if you end up going down the Barlamore route and you do Hunter Rumors. These are kind of a pain in the butt to get to, kind of a pain in the butt to do as well. So this is almost a negative thing, but I guess you've got the Polar Hunter area if you want it. You are going to be getting a disease-free herb patch in Trollwise as well. So while I wouldn't necessarily say that you're picking up a good way to train farming, you are getting a little bit of a way to train farming. Very little. If you have to get 99 farming off of an herb patch and they don't have a relic for you that makes that better, don't consider this your farming option, please. You're gonna be real sad. Now, because you do get the stonemason shop, you're able to build things like the gilded altar, so you're gonna get a lot of house upgrades. Unfortunately, you're still not able to max out the pool, the rejuvenation pool, so don't plan on that one because it takes things like stamina potions as well as anti-venom to get up to those last couple of levels. But for other things in your house, such as the gilded altar, you're able to build that. So I've got this listed out here just as another prayer option for you. If you do take the Fremennik area, it does work pretty well. It's a little more annoying, I think, than some of the other prayer options in the game, but if you have nothing else, 350% XP on bones ain't bad. You are also going to be picking up the Kingdom of Miscellanea, and while Leagues is a limited time game mode, it can still be really helpful to get those supplies. Last little thing I've got listed out here is going to be the Astral Ruins, the Astral Altar. You are able to runecraft those on Lunar Isle, so that can be a nice kind of mid-tier runecrafting XP thing for you. Now on to the mobs and the activities. Of course, you're gonna be getting the Fremennik Slayer Cave, so that's gonna come with a lot of kind of like random low-level sort of Slayer mobs. Nothing that is necessarily super good by itself, but they do have chances of like superior Slayer creatures. It is gonna mean more tasks coming out to the Slayer Cave as well, so just keep that in mind if you're gonna be training Slayer up. Nasty little brine rats. Get yourself a brine saber. By the time you can actually kill these, you're probably not going to need the brine saber, but on the off chance that you picked up Fremennik first and you just went Slayer crazy, you know, that's like tier 40 weapon. like Ruined Scimitar, but slightly better, right? And then I think one of the larger reasons that a lot of people are okay to take Fremennik is the leaf-bladed weaponry from both Turoths and Kurasks as you get up there in Slayer levels, because you'll get the leaf-bladed sword early on. It's a decent weapon, tier 50, so it's better than a lot of the stuff that you're able to pick up pretty early. Though you do have access to dragon weapons, so I don't know how true that actually is, but you will get up pretty quickly to a leaf-bladed battle axe. And if you're doing a melee build and they do something like faster attack speed, this can be a really strong weapon, especially early, and it's a little bit easier to get than something like a whip. Plus, you're able to pick up mystic robes. So overall, I mean, in the Slayer Cave, these are definitely the things that you're going for. You're gonna be picking up ice trolls as well. They're just kind of running around up in the north. If you want the granite shield, which does have a really, really high range defense. It's not necessarily better than a rune kite shield in terms of like the melee defenses, but the range defense on this thing is pretty crazy. So that can be a nice little like mid-game shield for you before you get some of the other end-game gear. Sticking to the Slayer theme, we've got the Basilisk Knights. They drop the jaw, upgrades the Natiz Knot helm. So you'll get yourself the Natiz Knot face guard. Man, say that 5 times fast. Golly. Which is gonna be a best in slot for you on the melee end. Now, spoilers, you're not getting a whole lot of gear, so I don't know if I would focus in too heavily on this. It's just kind of a nice pickup if you happen to have the region. Because you're picking Fremennik, you will also get access to Adamant Ruined Dragons in the Lithgren Vault in the Mistlin area. They drop the Dragon Crossbow stuff, Dragon Bolts, Wrath Ruins. Plus, they're just generally good money, a good little like AFK spot, especially later on once you have all of your like masteries, relics, and things, and you're really strong, really hard to kill. So that is kind of a nice benefit of picking up the Fremennik region. And then you've got the Lunar Spellbook, and I kind of want to just do a quick review of the Lunar Spellbook because I'm not sure that it's all that useful for you in leagues, but you do get it. All right, what is this? Okay, this is like a paywall or something. Subscribe, sub to me. Okay, this isn't right. Come on, get this out of here. Maybe if we click it, it'll go away. All right. Did you click the sub button? The Lunar Spellbook. So there's a lot of stuff here. I don't think most of it is going to be that useful. I mean, there's something to say about like, oh, you get, a little bit of passive magic training on something like the whatever water spell, the magic imbue, that type of stuff. But a lot of this is teleports. A lot of this is like random, useless utility garbage that you're probably not going to need, especially during leagues. So a few things to call out. You got the Cure Me spell, which can be helpful if you're going to do anything that involves a lot of poison or venom, and maybe you don't have access to anti-venom. So this would be specifically something like Araxor, where you will pick up Araxor's glands after a while, the spider glands to cure venom, but you may not want to use that, so Cure Me can be helpful for something like that. You've got Spin, Flax, Super Glass Make. Both of them are crafting centered options, and again, they can be good. It's going to depend a little bit on the relics that are available. If there's other skilling relics, then these may lose some value here, and they are also dependent on you being able to pick up a lot of flax or a lot of glass making supplies in order to really use them. So I'm not sure how good these spells will actually be, but they are really nice as an Iron Man in the normal game, so you may find a little bit of use for them during leagues, especially if they don't have a skilling relic that helps out crafting that much, or maybe you wanted to skip that relic choice and go for something else. So this can maybe fill that spot for you. You are getting access to the Tan Leather spell, which allows you to be your own tanner, which is kind of nice. There's not one in the Fremennik area, so if you're in need of black dragon hide armor, you'll be able to pick this up. Considering the league XP rates, you can probably get to it pretty early too. And then you've got Vengeance for the recoil damage. Now the thing with this is, in leagues, you're doing so much damage that unless there is something specifically that buffs recoil damage, I mean, this is like, yeah, you're gonna technically kill things faster, but like half a second faster. You know what I mean? Like, you get so much power in leagues. I have a hard time seeing Vengeance as getting a lot of use unless they do something that buffs recoil damage, and then maybe it's good to pair it with, like, you get the Darok armor and Mauritania with the Barrow's amulet, which adds a recoil effect, and then you have a ring of recoil on, and then you also cast Vengeance. Maybe you do like a recoil build. Outside of that, like, one instance, I think it's really not going to be that strong. But all right, now we are on to the bosses, kind of the meat of the area. You've got the Phantom Muspah, gives you the Venator bow shards. You're going to need 5 of those to make the bow. It does also drop the Ancient Icon, which allows you to upgrade the Ancient Staff if you went the desert, as you're going to need the desert to have the ancient staff. Make it useful. It also drops Ancient Essence, which is an upgrade to the Imbued Heart. Then you have Vorkath. Not only does it have a couple of good drops, it also has a lot of like supply drops, a lot of money drops. So it is a good boss to just sit there and farm. It's got the superior dragon bones, which are really good for prayer. Of course, you'll be able to pick up the Ava's Assembler with Vorkath's head. Not quite the best in slot range cape anymore, but it is second best. Very good. Still very strong, letting you save ammo. You got the Dragon Tooth necklace as well. Really strong prayer option if that's something that you need. And then Vorkath does drop 2 Visages. You've got the standard one for the Dragon Fire Shield. It does have the best rate for the Dragon Fire Shield Visage. So since you're already going to be here farming the guy, just a good chance to pick that up. It also has the range shield equivalent of the Dragon Fire Shield, the Dragon Ward. It is not quite the best in slot, but it is, I think it's the second best shield, maybe the third best, but it's pretty up there. Like, it is a good range shield. Mr. Duke Succulus, we got him hanging out here. You get access to all of the Desert Treasure 2 related stuff. So you're gonna get the Soul Reaper Axe, the Virtus Robes, the Magus Ring, as well as he drops the whatever little like ice gem that can go into the upgraded Ancient Staff. Again, you'd need Desert in order to actually use that, but it is on the drop table, so it is there. And then you've got the Dagannoth Kings, the classic boss in the area. Drops all of the different rings that combine into the Desert Treasure 2 rings, make the best in slot stuff. And we already got a teaser that the Dagannoth Kings are going to be the empowered boss in the area, the Echo boss. Now, we don't know what it's going to drop. If I had to speculate, I think it would be very on brand for it to drop some sort of ring that's like best in slot or close to best in slot for all of the combat styles. Some sort of like tribrid ring kind of thing. But again, that is complete speculation. We actually have no idea. They didn't show us. So all we know is this is the Echo boss. It is going to have some sort of empowered drop. But even outside of that, the rings are good. Dragon Axe is nice for wood cutting. So it is also good for prayer. But I think since you've already got Vorkath and you're probably going to be killing Vorkath a lot, you don't have to care so much about the Dagannoth bones, but they are there for you. Now, moving on to the gear, this is where this area tends to get clowned on a little bit, I think. And it's because it doesn't really offer a lot of like full sets. It really is a support area. So you pick up some good early options for melee, things like the leaf bladed sword, the granite shield. You're gonna get the Nate Does Not helm like right when you unlock the area. Maybe pick up a Brian Saber depending on what your path looks like. And then later into the game, you know, you get things like the Berserker ring. You'll be able to pick up a Dragon Fire Shield, hopefully from Vorkath, the face guard, and then a couple of weapons. So not a ton going on for melee. If you do want to make the Ferocious Gloves, you do have to go into the Lithgren Vault. So you've got access to that through Fremennik. You're still gonna need Korend in order to get the Hydra leather. So these things still like one of the worst things to try and make in leagues, probably not worth it. But if you happen to already be picking up Korend and the Fremennik region, then you'll have that available to you. Likewise, since you have access to the Ruin and Addy dragons, you're getting one of the picks that helps you unlock the Dragon Plate Body, Dragon Kite Shield. You still need Kandarin in order to buy the other half of the items. So one half is dropped by the Addy Ruin dragons. One of the halves is coming from the shop in Kandarin. That's more of a fashionscape kind of thing though than like actual armor that you're probably going to care about. And then we've got the Ultor ring. So the Berserker ring will combine with that. It comes from Vardorvis, which has moved. Vardorvis is now going to be in Varlamore. So you don't get a luck out and pick up like Korend for the Ferocious Gloves and the Ultor ring. Kind of sucks a little bit. But I mean, Varlamore is pretty good of an area. We'll talk about it. Don't worry. I know I've mentioned Varlamore a couple times in this video, but regardless, if you pick Varlamore, you'll have that ability to make the Ultor ring best in slot melee ring. Also, can't forget the Bellator ring. If you end up going as Garnia, you're going to have access to the Whisperer and be able to make this one. Not exactly a best in slot, but it's still a very strong ring. Gives slightly less strength bonus than an imbued Berserker ring, but has some extra accuracy on there, so you might get some use out of it if you pair the Fremennik and Asgarnia together. On the range side, you get a little bit less stuff. You know, maybe you pick up the Archer's Helm early or like a God Book, you know, something like that. You do get access to the Tan Leather spell, but it's not like the lowest level spell to use, so by the time you actually use it, I mean, just go and do clue scrolls, all right? You can pick up some armor, get some Blessed D-Hide over there. And then once you start getting to the bosses, you've got the Range Ring from the DKs, the Dragon Crossbow from Ruined Dragons in the Lithgren Vault, Mistlin area, the Venator Bow, very good bow, honestly. I know it's not best in slot for anything, but it is still a really strong weapon. Of course, you're going to get the Assembler, you're going to get the Dragonfire Ward as your shield. You are also getting access to Dragon Bolts through both Muspah, Vorkath, and the Rune Dragons. All of them, I believe, have a chance to drop some amount of Dragon Bolts, so that can help in terms of making your crossbow a little bit stronger. But again, you're not really getting like a full setup by taking this area, so very much a support region type of choice. If you ended up going desert, you'll be able to make the upgraded range ring by killing the Leviathan. If you end up going Varlamore, you'll get the quiver, which is best in slot range. You can combine that with the assembler to give it the same ammo saving effect as well. Mage is looking a little bit better. It's probably the closest thing to getting a full setup in this area, but even still, it's a little lacking. I'd still probably put it in a sport region just because there's not like a solid weapon that you're picking up, but you can get Seer Helm early, maybe some lucky mystic drops from like Turoths, pick up a god book, and then into the later game, you do have access to Duke Succulus, which is going to give you all the Virtus robes, very good mage robes. You've got the Magus ring, plus you do get an upgraded imbued heart. I mean, this is the only region that can do that. So I mean, it is a little hard to pass up. Plus you're getting access to Wrath Ruins. Wrath Ruins let you use the Surge spells, so the highest level spell in the standard spellbook. Little unfortunate that it's locked in just the Fremennik region, if you're asking me, but save that one for another video. And in terms of the combos, you know, if you want to use the upgraded Ancient Staff, you have to go desert. And certainly in the Fremennik area, you are lacking a weapon, so you probably don't want to pick this region as your main mage region. Again, with all of the styles, it very much falls into that supporting role. And then we've got the task breakdown: 11 easies, 22 medium, 34 hard, 26 elite, 3 master. So depending on what the relics look like, last year the Fremennik region was really good for early points because there was fire sale, which allowed you to basically take anything from shops that you wanted, didn't have to worry about cash. Now they've already confirmed this year that the relics are not going to be the same. We're not going to see exactly fire sale. They could still do something that makes shops easier to purchase from, but they may not do that at all. So it's really going to depend. If there's nothing that benefits you from shops, this is probably not the best first area to pick, not only because it doesn't give you like full gear setups, it is going to have a lot of tasks centered around bossing and like high level skilling. So you're going to have things like the demonic throne in your player-owned house, crafting a certain number of astral ruins, making forgotten brews from the ancient essence that Muspah gives you. You're going to have KC at all of the tasks, so like Vorkath, Muspah, Duke, Dagonoth Kings, they're all 300 last year. All of the CAs, combat achievements related to them, and then a ton of rare equipment tasks, all of the rings, the face guard, the ward, the god books, you name it, because that's pretty much all this area really has to offer. So while I'm sure they are going to balance it where if you take this one first, you're able to still like continue on with the game, I don't think it fits well into that. And again, very much a support region. So to answer the question at the start, is it good? It's hard to call any one region bad in leagues just because you're so powerful, you know, like if it's got content that you want to do, it's got good supportive gear. But if I was gonna say like, is it good as a standalone region? Definitely not. There are better choices out there. So if you like the Fremennik region, take the Fremennik region. It's got good supporting pickups for pretty much everything. It's probably the weakest in melee, but even still, I mean, I don't think you're gonna regret picking the Fremennik region. I mean, you get a decent number of things here. You get a decent number of things for range. You get a decent number of things for mage. So this is one where I took it last year as part of my range build just because I wanted the Venator bow. It is a really fun weapon. And previously with Vorkath dropping the best in slot range cape, it was definitely more worth it. I think that with the introduction of Varlamore, the Fremennik region has lost a little bit of its value. It's not the only stonemason shop anymore, so you don't have to pick the Fremennik region to build out your player-owned house, and the Colosseum offers best in slot range. So the assembler, while it's good for saving ammo, is not necessarily required anymore. But I also think the Fremennik region serves well in supporting mage choices. So yeah, if you don't have other regions that you want to pick over this, getting an upgraded imbued heart, pretty good. Getting the mage ring, it's also best in slot ring, probably not the biggest piece that you have to worry about. Like I wouldn't pick Fremennik over Kandarin for magic just because you're going to be losing out on so much magic percentage. But again, there are reasons to take this. I think mostly you're looking at, do you enjoy the content in the area? So standalone, not good. Support region, yeah, it could be a sport region. But what do you guys think? That's all I got for you. Gonna be making more Leagues area videos, lots of League content coming, so subscribe if you want to see that. I do have a Discord channel. It'll be linked in the description if you want to join that. And I will also be streaming the League right when it starts. I'm gonna start at 9 in the morning Central Time. Gonna be talking about different League strategies, and then whenever Leagues kicks off, we'll just jump straight into that. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.